What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. And this time we're taking a look at Punisher Warzone. Let's waste no time. Let's get right into this. Now, I ultimately feel that Warzone is a very enjoyable movie, but it's also a movie of wasted potential. I'm going to cover my positives and my negatives right now. So, without further ado, let's get started. My positives first. I overall think that the majority of the cast in this movie all play their roles fairly well. I really like Ray Stevenson as Frank Castle, the Punisher. He plays it right off the page. Wayne Knight as Microchip. He's really funny. He has a lot of dry humor to his performance. He also has a seriousness to his performance, and I like the chemistry between Stevenson and Knight. I thought they played really well off one another, and their performance in this movie, they're much more grounded, and it really works when they're on screen. Their scenes work together in the context of this movie. So it's good dynamic between Stevenson and Knight. They play really well off one another as Punisher and Microchip. Other members of the cast I do enjoy: Dash Mayhawk and Colin Sullivan. They play Martin Soap and Detective Budiansky, respectively. And I like these two characters. They're the audience characters. They're from our perspective. They're the more, you know, less over the top slash flamboyant character. These are more the grounded police officers, and I like the bantering and chemistry between Mayhawk and Solomon as well. The Martin Soap character is this bumbling cop who is funny without being cringy, and Budiansky is that more straight-laced cop, and they work really well off one another. And I think one of the missed opportunities this movie had was putting these characters together with Frank, along with the character of along with Microchip and another character called Carlos, which I'll touch on when I get to my negatives, because I think that was a really big missed opportunity. But let me get my positives out of the way first. Other Dominic West and Doug Hutchinson, who play the villains of this movie, they play Jigsaw and Looney Bin Jim respectively, and I enjoyed their over-the-top cartoon villain-esque performances. I thought they were fun, and you can clearly tell they're having fun with their roles, but there's a big contrast that this movie has. So, and I'm going to touch that when I get to my negatives. I'm just trying to illustrate the positives. I like their performances for being goofy, outlandish, and over the top, and I really like the Jigsaw makeup. It's really grotesque looking, and it stays in your brain. And the character of Looney Bin Jim is a character who you can see in a Punisher comic book. He's just that deranged and loony, no pun intended. So that's good too. Uh, the production value of this movie is really well done. This is a good looking, well shot movie. It's the Punisher with pastels and like bright colors, and it looks like you're watching a live action comic book because the colors you see in this movie are colors that you would see on a comic book panel. And I think the director Lexi Alexander and her cinematographer really did a good job at making this movie feel like a comic book and giving it that comic book esque feel to it. I think the action in this movie is really well choreographed. It's brutal, it's intense, it's over the top, it fits the tone of the Punisher character. The first 10 minutes of this movie is gore fest gun violence, and it looks really good. And the rest of the movie is no different. I enjoy it. I like the over the top action. This movie is what I want to see in a Punisher movie. So yeah, those are my positives. Now on to my negatives. This movie is a tonally a mess. Now I had mentioned before that there are certain scenes in this movie where it's played totally straight. For instance, the scene where Punisher meets the wife and daughter of a undercover cop he accidentally killed. It's a very intense scene, and then moments later you have another scene of Jigsaw acting over the top, goofy, and cartoony. And it's something this movie really has a hard time juggling what kind of tone it wants to have. It doesn't know if it wants to be this serious movie or this goofy, over the top action movie, and it kind of tries to mesh the two together, and it kind of falls apart because you have the majority of the cast are playing it totally straight, and then you have other members of the cast who are just being over the top, goofy, and cartoony, and it's really contrasting. You don't really know what to make of it. Another thing that I think this movie kind of failed on was the forming of a Defenders S team. So, pretty much near the end of this movie, Jigsaw is gathering up a whole bunch of people to join him to take down the Punisher because it was the Punisher who disfigured Billy Rosati and turned him into Jigsaw. So he's gathering up his own team to take down the Punisher as well. While at the same time, the Punisher is slowly gaining allies throughout this movie. He has Microchip, he has Martin Soap, he has Budiansky, and he has another character named Carlos. I think this movie really missed the opportunity of doing a Defenders esque team up with these five with the Punisher squadron to take on Rosati's squadron, because pretty much near the end of the movie, the character of Carlos is brutally killed off by Looney Bin Jim and then finished off as a mercy killing by Frank. Microchip is pretty much held hostage and is ultimately killed by Jigsaw once Frank kills his brother Looney Bin Jim. So that's taken out of the equation. Martin Soap plays a non-factor in the climax, and Budiansky should have gone into the building for the final shootout, but instead they have his character not do that, and Punisher cleans house by himself. I think the movie really did a disservice to these side characters, and they could have made them feel more, because the movie was teasing and building up this shaky partnership between Frank and Budiansky, and I would like to have seen more of that develop in the climactic final shootout, which does not happen because Frank ends up saving the day all by himself. He saves the girls. So that's another big gripe I have with this movie, was that some of these characters, they should have gotten treated with more respect. The movie was teasing the formation of some sort of like squadron of Punisher allies to take on Jigsaw, and at the end, it just becomes the Punisher. It just becomes the Punisher show. I mean, it's goofy, it's over the top, it's gun violence, booah. It's well done, it's well choreographed, it's entertaining. But from a story perspective, I would like it better if they would have had the squadron go in the building with Frank. So that you have the Punisher's gang taking on Jigsaw's gang. I think that could have been really, really entertaining for what it was. And some of these characters could have had more heroic deaths. Carlos could have had a more heroic death. Microchip, could have been kept alive, and we could have brought in the battle vans. For this movie, could have brought in the battle van. This movie had opportunities, and it just missed the boat on a lot of these opportunities. And it clearly shows that, these filmmakers, they had good intentions, but the execution was kind of like okay. But you can also tell this movie was a victim of a lot of backstage politics, and that's a damn shame, because Warzone had the potential to be a really good Punisher-esque movie. Instead, it's just an okay and enjoyable movie. It's nothing memorable, but it's nothing horrible at all. It's entertaining to watch. The characters are goofy and over the top. The storyline is basic, easy to follow. The action is well done. You do get solid performances by Ray Stevenson and Wayne Knight, who hold the movie together. And you also get some understated performances by Dash Mayock and Colin Solomon. You get goofy, fun yet fun performances by Dominic West and Doug Hutchinson. And you also get the misutilization of some actors, like Julie Benz' character doesn't really have much to do. She's just there to be held hostage, and other characters are there just to die with no development. So yeah, all in all, again, it's an enjoyable movie, yet it's a missed opportunity, and I'm going to give Punisher Warzone a 6.5 out of 10. It's a good movie to watch to kill time. It's an hour and a half, it goes by quick, and you won't be bored. Other than that, it doesn't really have much to offer. So yeah, 6.5 out of 10 for Punisher Warzone. Let me know your thoughts in the comment sections down below. Do you like this movie? Do you hate this movie? I would like to know. Like the video and subscribe, and I will check you back next time for more.